Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm Aaron Rustabaki. I'm a finance and consultant here at Beacon Funding. Today, I'm honored to be joined by our Vice President of Business Development, Bob Dubow. Bob, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure, Aaron. Thank you.
Now, for those of you who have not had the pleasure of getting to know Bob, Bob started by working as a CPA auditing leasing companies before diving into leasing himself. He owned and operated his own leasing business and then joined Beacon Funding, where he takes all of that great knowledge and experience and leverages it for his customers who are acquiring pieces of commercial equipment. Now, since I've started working at Beacon Funding, I've had the opportunity to work with Bob a handful of times and converse with him. And previously, I was a business owner myself. And every time I walk away from a conversation with Bob, I always think, man, I really wish that I had had somebody like Bob in my corner when I was operating my business. So my goal here today is to pick Bob's brain a little bit, and so that businesses who are watching this video can take that knowledge and hopefully use it when they're making decisions when it comes to acquiring that next piece of commercial equipment. So now I'd like to turn it over to Bob. And Bob, what is it about equipment financing and leasing that you think is so beneficial for businesses today?
Thanks, Aaron. I really do appreciate an opportunity to share my many years of equipment leasing and financing experience with business owners. As I learned a long time ago, it's a lot more rewarding and also fun to be helping people rather than just selling. So it's great to be here. As we all saw last year, and if you remember way back to 2008 with that huge economic downturn, there are always unforeseen events that affect your business significantly. And that is why it's so important to use an equipment leasing and financing company for acquiring equipment outside of your cash and your bank line of credit, because you never know what's around the corner. It could be bad things like we saw last year. It could be good things like a brand new big account that's going to require you to have a lot of working capital to meet their requirements before you see the long-term profits come into your company, hopefully over the long term. So I truly believe the number one reason that people use equipment leasing and financing companies like Beacon Funding is to keep their cash and their working capital line of credit at the bank available for those unforeseen opportunities and, unfortunately, unforeseen events that cause us more business expenses. One of my customers told me that he called it finance insurance. He was approved for financing a $150,000 truck at his local bank. The bank wanted 20% down payment, and they were going to reduce his line of credit by 50%. We got him approved at $40 a month, higher monthly payment than his bank would have been at if they would have financed without any down payment. We got him approved with zero down payment. And he said, Bob, that's cheap finance insurance for $480 a year. Where do I sign? He goes, I'm a young, growing business. I need to keep my bank line of credit available for growth and working capital, and I can keep $30,000 in the bank. That's like making 12 payments ahead of time.
One thing I wanted to ask you is I'd love to hear the ways in which you've been able to help business owners overcome the obstacles of equipment ownership with flexible financing options.
Sure. One of the key flexible options is what I call step payments. And a great example is in the towing industry. Towing businesses usually start out doing light and medium duty towing, and with a goal of always wanting to get into heavy duty towing. It's just much more profitable on a per incident basis. You might have seen the big heavy duty tow trucks out on the interstate doing recovery work when there's big truck crashes and things like that. But it is very expensive to get into that side of the business because the equipment is very expensive. You need what's called a rotator, a heavy duty tow truck. And the way I've helped a lot of businesses make that conversion from just being their light and medium duty business to all expanding into heavy duty towing is once we find a truck, we set up the monthly payments so that they're based upon their current cash flow for just a light and medium doing towing business, that they can afford those monthly payments without any heavy duty towing business. Give them 12 months to enter that market, let the cash flow start coming in from that side of the business, let them enter the market for those customers and those opportunities. And by the 13th month, we step up the payments to a monthly payment that again is still affordable now because they're making a lot more money and a lot more profits in the heavy duty towing side of the business.
I really like that a lot because it's almost like you're, as a business owner, able to kind of take baby steps into this new venture rather than taking it all on at once, which feels so daunting, I think, at times.
Yes, I agree. Baby steps and optimization, I think, go hand in hand. Long-term thinking to grow your business and have positive monthly cash flow every month while you're continuing to grow your business. It's a nice flexible option to be able to have those low monthly payments that are not have to worry about generating additional revenue and profits right away off the business expansion. You've got 12 months to do it.
One thing that I've come across with some of my customers is they, they're so used to paying cash for their trucks, they're worried that if they finance, that additional debt is just going to eat up all of their profits. Now, how would you approach somebody with that kind of concern?
Okay, well, they are correct in that paying cash is the cheapest form of acquiring a new piece of equipment. Let's pull up a slide that I did though versus risk reward. As you mentioned, I'm an accountant by training, so I like putting everything in numbers and showing the bottom line. And the bottom line for a company that always pays cash, like Company A here, it's a nice little company having $1 million in sales and 50% gross margin. They're covering their fixed expenses and still ending up with $100,000 net profit, positive cash flow at the end of the year. There's nothing wrong with that. There's little risk. The reward could be greater though, I think, if they had an opportunity to expand their business by acquiring additional equipment. Company B here would be a company example that's showing that if you could grow your business by 5 times what it was with additional equipment, your gross margin is going to still be at 50% because your variable expenses increase with your growth in revenue. But a thing that a lot of businesses miss, I think, is that fixed expenses don't grow quite as quickly as your variable expenses when you expand your business. Okay, in this example, I've got it going from $400,000 to $1 million in fixed expenses, which is probably overstated a little bit, but being on the conservative side for examples, that's not a bad increase for 5 times growing your business. It also takes out $500,000 of financing costs. So you're paying $500,000 in financing costs. You're taking that additional risk of agreeing to make those monthly payments, but now you're ending up with $1 million in net profit, net cash flow at the end of the year versus Company A that did not take the risk and did not get the reward because they wanted to pay cash for everything and get zero. So you're 10 times ahead in the net profit. And to me, if you're in business, it's better to be growing than be staying the same. And it always reminds me of a story my grandfather told me a long time ago about when he was a financial auditor. He went into a company where the owner was very, very proud of his glass ceiling because he was saving electrical cost expenses, right? He was paying cash for everything on the equipment side, if comparably. But in the same breath, he was also telling my grandfather how much he wished he could produce more because he had so much demand and he could sell more and increase his profits. And my grandfather suggested he start a night shift, the second shift at night. And the owner sort of thought about it. Well, then I'll have to turn on the lights. Yes, you will have to turn on the lights, but what's your bottom line going to be? You're telling me you have all this demand of business. So even after your additional electrical cost expenses, we know you're proud of your glass ceiling and saving money during the day when it's sunny. But if you have that opportunity, take that additional risk, open up a second shift, pay the electrical costs, and your bottom line will be better.
Bob, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I really appreciate you coming out here and sharing some of your thoughts with us. For all of those of you who are watching this video, if you'd like to learn more, or if you have some questions that you'd actually like to hear Bob kind of speak to, you're welcome to reach out to him via phone, text, or email. I'm going to have all of his information displayed on the screen here. But Bob's phone number is 847-897-2491. You can text him at 847-208-4530, and his email is bdubow@beaconfunding.com. Bob, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, Aaron. Thank you.